Welcome to the Victims' Rights Recognition Ceremony for Contra Costa County, sponsored by the District Attorney's Office of Contra Costa County. And we also want to make sure to recognize our justice partners, our community-based partners, our honored guests, and most importantly, the survivors and the families who are joining us today. Today is both solemn and sacred. It's solemn because we gather in the shadow of harm that has touched families and lives and entire communities. But it's also sacred because we gather to affirm something very powerful, that victims are not forgotten, that their voices matter, and that their rights are real. This year's theme calls us to action, to listen, to act, advocate, protect victims, and also to serve communities. They're not just words, it's a mandate. Listening means that we center the voices of survivors, not as an afterthought, but as a guiding force. Acting means that we do more than acknowledge harm. We pursue accountability and healing with urgency. And advocating calls us to stand beside victims in courtrooms, in crisis, and in community. We've seen firsthand that justice is not only about what happens in the courtroom, it's also about what happens in the lives of those who are impacted, whether they are supported, believed, and given a path toward healing. So today we will hear from dedicated leaders and members of our own office who are shaping laws and advocating justice, and we'll also honor the extraordinary courage, because courage is what it takes to survive, to speak, and to stand. We'll take a moment to remember through the naming of a star for the Gutierrez family that love endures even through their loss. We're clear that victims' rights are not optional, they are foundational to justice. And so today, we do more than recognize, we also recommit to listening, to acting boldly, and also to advocating fiercely. And let me recognize those community partners that are here as well. Hope Solutions, the Family Justice Center, Community Violence Solutions, La Miranda Care Collective, Employment and Human Services, Stand for Families Free of Violence, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So please join me in welcoming Natasha Thomas, the Regional Executive Director for Northern California.
At Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we walk alongside victims and families whose lives have forever been changed in an instant, through no fault of their own. What many people don't always see is the impact of impaired driving doesn't end at the crash scene. It continues through grief, trauma, court proceedings, and the long journey of healing. But behind every statistic is a person, a loved one, a family whose world has forever been altered. That's why partnerships like this one matter so much. We cannot do this work alone. It's a collaboration between advocates, law enforcement, prosecutors, community organizations that are those in this room, and to ensure that victims are not only supported, but also heard, respected, and never forgotten. At MAD, we provide services such as emotional support, court accompaniment, and opportunities for family to have their voices heard through our legislative efforts, which we're currently working with a group of victims who will be lobbying the state capitol on bills that we're supporting, SB 907 and AB 1830. And victim impact panels, where individuals share their stories in hopes of preventing future tragedies. More importantly, we strive to remind families that they are not alone. Victims' rights, that their pain is seen, their voices are heard, and their voices matter, and that their loved ones will always be remembered and never forgotten. Today, as we recognize families' impact by impaired driving, we honor not only their loss, but their strength, their courage to move forward, to share, and to be present in something we should all carry with us. Victims' Rights Week is a reminder that while we cannot change the past, we can commit to building a future where fewer families have to experience this kind of loss. So on behalf of MAD and everyone in this room who does this self-serving, important, I can't emphasize this important work, we cannot do this without you all. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this important work and for your continued dedication to supporting victims and their families as they walk the path of their new normal. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas, for the powerful reminder that advocacy can save lives and also reshape policy. So as we continue, we turn now from impact to innovation. We're looking ahead to how the law must evolve to meet the challenges that are before us every day. So at this time, will you please welcome Assistant District Attorney Ryan Wagner, who will speak on developing DUI laws for 2027.
Morning. As District Attorney Becton mentioned, I serve as one of the Assistant District Attorneys in our office, and I also have the privilege of being a member of the Legislative Committee for the California District Attorneys Association. As many of you are aware of, our legislatures in Sacramento are particularly focused this session on addressing the harm caused by alcohol-related collisions and recidivists. A recent article by Cal Matters highlighted that alcohol-related roadway deaths in California have shot up by more than 50% in the past decade, an increase that's more than twice as steep as anywhere else in the country. More than 1,300 people die each year statewide from drunken collisions, and thousands more are injured. Again and again, it's repeat DUI offenders that cause these crashes. To understand why so many people are dying at the hands of people driving drunk or drugged, Cal Matters reviewed thousands of vehicular manslaughter and homicide cases, as well as the laws that are imposed in different jurisdictions, and they found that California has some of the weakest DUI laws in the country. In response, there are several pieces of legislation that are attempting to combat this serious issue as we focus today on not just listening, but acting and action. Here are a few noteworthy bills that are being addressed right now in Sacramento. Senate Bill 907 is known as Braun's Law, which is named after a teenager that was killed in Los Angeles. It adds gross vehicular manslaughter as well as vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated to the violent felony list. This is particularly important because it closes a loophole where someone who kills someone while driving intoxicated could potentially spend less time in custody than someone that injures someone. It allows for consecutive terms to be imposed for different victims. It increases the penalties for hit and run offenses that are within 10 years of a prior DUI conviction. In addition to Senate Bill 907, Assembly Bill 1546 increases the punishment for third-time DUI offenders, making what is third-time DUI offenses now a felony. Assembly Bill 1747 changes the punishment from vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated from a wobbler, meaning something that can be punished as a misdemeanor or a felony, to a straight felony. So as we listen today and we think about the call to act, to advocate, I encourage all in this room and those listening to reach out to your representatives and ensure that these pieces of legislation and many like it are addressed during this session to strengthen California's DUI enforcement, and hopefully together that will make these substantive changes this year. Thank you so much.
At this time, we're going to turn to one of the most meaningful moments in our program today, and that is recognizing extraordinary courage. Courage, not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite of it. So to present the Exceptional Courage Award, I'll be welcoming Assistant District Attorney Aaron D. Ferrari, as well as victim witness advocate Shauna Toon. We'll pause to honor a family through the presentation of a named star and a tribute that ensures their loved ones' memories continue to shine. They will also be shortly joined by Shannon Mahoney, who, as you have heard, leads our amazing team of victim witness advocates in the District Attorney's Office. So let me turn over the mic to Mr. DeFerrari.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. today for our annual Victims' Rights Week recognition ceremony. Every year, Victim Rights Week gives us an opportunity to focus on the victims of crime, men and women and children who are profoundly affected by our criminal justice system in ways we struggle to ever truly understand. While we recognize and honor all victims of crime this week, we would like to recognize one family in particular, a family that has demonstrated exceptional courage in the face of unimaginable loss. On April 30th, 2025, just under 1 year ago, the family of Sean Gutierrez received a phone call with the most devastating news imaginable.
In the very early morning hours of April 30th, 2025, Sean Gutierrez, a 22-year-old young man, was driving north on Interstate 680, just outside of Walnut Creek. To say that in that moment, Sean had his whole life ahead of him sounds cliche, but it is no less true. Sean was set to go to UC Davis. He was less than a month away from celebrating his 5-year anniversary with his girlfriend, Brenda. And as we learned, Sean has a family that loved him very deeply. Rather than meeting the future that Sean had set in front of him, a man named Enkush Erdenabatar slammed into Sean in a head-on collision at freeway speed. Mr. Erdenabatar was driving drunk. Mr. Erdenabatar had driven the wrong way down Interstate 680, for over 20 miles. Other terrified drivers had called him in as he endangered life after life after life until he finally collided into Sean Gutierrez, killing him. There are no words to express the anguish, the pain, and the grief that Sean's family and friends experienced that night, and in truth, every day after. Having a son, a brother, a loved one taken in such a senseless, reckless act of irresponsibility by another human being is so shocking and so awful that no words can do it justice. After our office filed charges of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated against the defendant, Shauna Toon from our office and I met with the Gutierrez family repeatedly. Their grief and their anger at being robbed of Sean's future, the milestones that they had looked forward to seeing him, asked from graduating college to getting married to having his own family. Their anger at never seeing those things for Sean never overwhelmed their dignity. From the beginning, the Gutierrez family knew that even if the defendant was convicted and found guilty of everything through trial or plea, he would be sentenced to 6 years in prison at most. That was devastating to them, and for good reason. That is not justice. That is not close. Many families in that situation could have splintered or walked away. It could have left the process completely.
The Gutierrez family did the opposite. They pulled together, they leaned on each other, they came to every court hearing. When it came time for sentencing, they did not turn away. They had the courage to speak the truth about Sean Gutierrez, that he was a loving son, a loyal brother, a proud uncle to Joe Eden and Thea, a loving boyfriend, a man who had so much left to do. The way they loved Sean came through in the memories of his life that they shared with us and with the court when the defendant eventually pled to all charges and was sentenced. We are truly honored to present the Gutierrez family with an Exceptional Courage Award here today. Their resilience, their compassion, and love for each other and for Sean remind us, all of us, that in the face of unimaginable loss, there is courage, there is conviction, and the people who we fight for matter.
like Shannon Mahoney to please come up, our leader of our victim witness advocacy program.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We wanted to, as a group, find a way to honor Sean and honor your family. And with the Extraordinary Courage Award, what you all have been through, the voice that you have given him through this process, the ability for all of us to learn some about Sean and how Sean lived his life, that's something that we all want to keep with us. And so we came together and adopted a star, a bright star, in Sean's name. So that's something that all of us can have together to know that there's a star there for him, for your family, and for all of us, so we can keep him fresh in our minds, your experience, the fight, and the voice that you brought for your family. And it keeps a reminder for us to keep fighting for families, to keep advocating for victims of crimes, and to make sure that people always have a voice in our criminal justice process. And again, to advocate for new legislation to help support families that have been through such a terrible tragedy. So thank you so much for being here today, for letting us share in Sean's memory. And we did bring a certificate of adoption that we wanted to give to you.
Thank you. And thank you for the Gutierrez family for your courage to be here today. I think moments like this are a reminder for us that these are not just cases, that behind every single case there is a human story and a human loss. So we thank you for standing up today. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to our program as we come to a close. But I also want to specifically thank and acknowledge our victim witness team from the Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office. And I would ask that wherever you are in the room, if you would please stand and come forward to be acknowledged. As they're coming forward, this is just a reminder that all of the work that you do, it's not just work behind the scenes, but you are the human face. You are the bridge between justice and the system. And so we just want to acknowledge all of you, including Bear and Finner, I think, who are up here too, and acknowledge all the amazing work that you do every single day. Thank you. We've come to the end of our formal program, but I just want to remind us of our theme, that is to listen, to act, and to advocate, and a reminder that all of us together can build safer and stronger communities for everyone. So thank you all for being here.